Welcome to another episode of Financially Irresponsible. I'm your host, Rakim Sabri, and we are on our last episode of the season. So I want to thank you guys who did tune in over the course of this last season. I know it was an abbreviated one, and I hope that I'm giving value from week to week as we go through these different episodes. Certainly, I enjoy being able to share my experiences and my education and my expertise with you all as the seasons unfold. I'm looking forward to a season 3. I can't believe that we're already looking at season 3. It's certainly been a ride and an educational experience for me. In today's episode, I kind of want us to be a little bit more laid back than we usually are. I do want to talk about the differences of some of the financial professionals so that you're not caught out there financially irresponsible on your journey to improving your finances, especially with the help or the assistance of a financial professional. But before I do that, I want to tell you a story of resilience related to the credential that I mentioned to you guys, the accredited financial counselor designation, in the last episode. So I want to share that journey because I find that as I lean into having these conversations about the importance of understanding the different financial professionals and designations that exist, that you also get kind of a behind the scenes look at what's involved in attaining one of those designations. So prior to the receipt of this most recent designation, the accredited financial counselor, I carried 2 designations. The Certified Financial Education Instructor from the National Financial Education Council and the Registered Financial Consultant through the International Association for Registered Financial Consultants. And both have their own criteria for carrying the mark and demonstrating the mark. There are fees associated with carrying and demonstrating the mark. There are educational requirements associated with carrying the mark and demonstrating the mark, and certainly ethical requirements as far as carrying those marks and demonstrating the marks. But what I noticed from all of my years of experience in the banking industry and just kind of the personal approach to financial education that I've taken over the last decade plus is that when I went to test for the Certified Financial Education Instructor designation, it was a relatively easy test for me. This is not a shot to the National Financial Education Council. I think that it's a great organization, especially for individuals who are looking to get their feet wet in hosting workshops and providing financial education to large and small groups. But my experience going into achieving that designation was one that was lackluster, for lack of a better phrasing, in that I recognized that I had 3 attempts to take this exam before having to apply for an exception. And I decided in the first attempt to just go for it. I didn't even make it through all of the material. I was sitting up, it was 2:00 in the morning one night. I was working full time and I was like, I need to go to bed, but I really want to get through this content because I really want the designation. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to test for it, see how I do. I test for it. I passed the test, high 80s, really without any issue. Like I said, I didn't even complete the educational material. I just knew so much of it on a very foundational or elementary level that it was easy for me to pass the exam. And so, of course, in passing the exam, I have to pay the fee, and then I get to use the mark, the designation. And so that was a huge accomplishment for me. I became a financial education, a certified financial education instructor, in, I believe, February of 2021. So this is like, the pandemic is raging on. I'm working full time. I get this designation and I'm like, cool, I have some credibility associated with this educational pursuit that I have. And I was operating as a financial coach very early stages of operating as a financial coach on the side. Over the years, I have not had many people that I have coached or organizations that I've worked with ask me what designations I carried that made me qualified to do this work. But certainly there are some out there who do and who have and who will. And I think that's an important question to ask. But at that stage in my journey back in 2021, if somebody would have stopped and asked me that question, I would have kind of taken offense to it, because I know how much work I put into getting the information and delivering the information in a way that is impactful but also accurate. With the rise of the finfluencer through platforms like TikTok, like Instagram, and some other, spin-off platforms, especially during the pandemic, there were a lot of people jumping into the financial influencing bandwagon who brought with them large audiences from other niches and just smacked the label of financial coach on their work. And so you might have had a creator who developed an audience of 100,000 followers for content related to beauty products or baking or cooking or some other random niche. And then all of a sudden they go through a massive rebrand and say, hey, I'm a financial education instructor, and my credibility is in the number of people who follow me, the 100,000 people who follow me. And so I'm out here doing God's work, right? But the issue with that is that because financial coaches specifically exist in a realm that lacks regulation, right? So they're not licensed, they're not selling products, or their only service is really educational or advice-based. Financial coach, or the title financial coach, is not a regulated title. So anybody can call themselves a financial coach. The problem with this is that there's no accountability. There is no governing body that focuses on making sure that you're being ethical in your practice. There is no governing body that is making sure that the information that you're providing is factual. And so it really puts the burden of double learning on the audience who subscribes to that content, because something might sound good, but in reality be fraud, or in reality might be harmful, or in reality might feed into the narrative that you want to tell yourself about doing something financially, because it's easier for you to accomplish that way than the accurate approach to what that looks like. And so I have a really good friend, content creator, and financial educator who holds multiple designations, who is on TikTok and just debunks a lot of the myths that are circulating, particularly as it relates to credit repair, because so many people are desperate to improve their credit. And in the series of videos that she creates where she's debunking these myths, she's constantly being attacked by the fans and followers of the individuals who are giving out the inaccurate information because they're trying to save face, or because it interrupts what they want to believe is possible or is realistic in their approach to managing their credit and their finances. And so when I discovered the Association for Financial Counseling and Planning Education and heard of the designation, the AFC, I decided that I wanted to dive deeper into it and understand what is the difference between a financial coach and a financial counselor. Because a lot of financial counselors, accredited financial counselors, do operate as financial coaches as well. And so while there is no regulation of the term financial coach, the AFCPE provides a governing body as an association to what ethics look like, to what educational requirements looks like, to what experience requirements look like. And they combine the world of counseling with the world of finances. And so you might have somebody who believes that a particular subset of the population needs just financial education, more equitable financial education, and that it will improve their circumstances financially. But what the AFCPE has done is proven with research that financial capability and financial education and financial knowledge are all very different things and have very different functions in the progression to the accomplishment of your financial goals and values. The AFCP also places a huge emphasis on acknowledging your client's value sets and beliefs when it comes to money, because we understand that those values and beliefs are going to impact decision making every single time. So you might work with somebody and create a perfect budget for them that aligns perfectly with their wants and their needs and what their income looks like in comparison to their expenses, but not acknowledge the values and the goals that they have as an individual or the beliefs that they have about money in undertaking that goal. And that perfect budget that you've created is no longer valid. And so that's the problem with some of these budget templates that people find online. They just download it and they say, okay, I'm going to input all the numbers into the spreadsheet and I'm going to be great. But they experience this huge amount of anxiety and resistance to even looking at the template and completing it, because they have this wall up as it relates to budgeting that can be associated with previous financial traumas or some kind of behavioral issue when it comes to how they spend their money that they're not ready to face yet. And so financial counselors help navigate those experiences from an educational perspective, but also from a counseling perspective that allows for the client and the counselor to settle on what goals they want to accomplish and the method in which they want to accomplish those goals together. Whereas my experience as a coach prior to getting involved with the AFCPE as a accredited financial counselor was mostly focused on me being the expert and the authority in the conversation, and the person that I'm working with being kind of the subject of, well, this is what you're bringing to me. This is what I'm going to tell you you need to do because I know what you need to do. I'm the expert. I'm right. You're wrong, et cetera, et cetera. And it can result in a counterproductive exchange because, again, we're not taking into account the client's value set and their attitudes or behaviors around money. So the AFCP has helped me become a better coach by giving me foundational knowledge around how to approach these situations from a mental health or counseling perspective, and providing the financial education basics or foundations that I already had exposure to. Now, there are other designations in existence that I don't carry, like certified financial planners, like life insurance salespeople, like chartered financial consultants that exist out there that also have an educational requirement or an experience-based requirement or a combination of both. And so in pursuing some of these designations, there is a commitment there to making, to time really, but to making sure that not only are you providing ethical and accurate information in the delivery of your content to clients or customers, but also understanding what the restrictions to some of those conversations can look like. So as an accredited financial counselor, I cannot give investment advice because I'm not licensed to talk about investments, but I can make referrals to professionals who are licensed to do so. And so understanding where those lines end, right? As a financial counselor, where I can kind of touch on the behavior and the mental health aspect of money, I cannot diagnose, or I cannot say, oh, you're experiencing this mental health affliction, but I can make referrals to mental health professionals if I identify or I notice an issue that is outside of the realm of what I'm qualified to address. And so as we talk about financial professionals and choosing a financial professional, I think that it's super important to identify what credential that financial professional has and what obligation that financial professional has to you, and making decisions that are in your best interests. And this is called in the industry a fiduciary, and a lot of the financial planners have a fiduciary responsibility to giving you options or to outlining solutions for you that are in your best interest, not necessarily in their best interest from a financial perspective. And so you have fiduciaries, you have salespeople. So those are your stockbrokers, those are your insurance salespeople who their main job, as they articulate, is to educate you. Their main job, their main mission is to get commissions off of what products or services they sell to you. So if they're making money off of selling you life insurance or selling you the different kinds of life insurance that exist out there or some kind of stock, then they don't have a fiduciary responsibility. They actually have an invested interest in giving you information that kind of aligns with what they're looking to accomplish ultimately, which is for you to engage with them by buying their product or their service. That's not to say that all salespeople are bad. I think salespeople are great people that have great intentions, but they are motivated by something completely different than a fiduciary or a financial counselor whose their pricing and payment structure is stated up front, and they're not incentivized to do any more or any less in the delivery of their content with you based off of what you buy, or rather what they sell. And so there's a list on the FINRA website, FINRA, where you can look up designations that are FINRA recognized. The AFC is one of those designations. The CFP is also up there. The CPA is also up there. The CFEI is also up there. There are a bunch of different designations that are recognized on this list, not endorsed. There's a difference between being recognized and being endorsed, but a bunch of designations that are recognized on the FINRA website that also talks to what are the criteria for accomplishing or achieving that mark, what are the criteria for maintaining that mark, and who do you go to report somebody based off of a violation of ethics or behavior based off of the carrying of whatever mark it is that they carry. So super important website. Again, that is FINRA, FINRA. I forget if it's .com or .org, but if you type in FINRA designations, it's probably going to be one of the first resources that pops up. And if you're working with a financial professional who has a designation, you can check out that designation and see what it all entails. If you're working with a financial professional who does not have a designation, that's not to say that that financial professional is not qualified to talk about what it is that they're working with on you. Like I said, financial coaching, for instance, is not a regulated industry, and so there is no requirement to carry a designation. And experience-based practitioners can be just as or more effective in the delivery of their content in helping an individual based off of relatability or based off of just kind of a natural understanding for somebody else's position based off of common lived experiences. But there is not a governing body that they are accountable or beholden to that enforces ethics, that enforces education, that enforces experience. And so the dilemma in the financial services space is around the experience-based practitioner and the license or credential carrying designation. And so part of the reason why I pursued the AFC is because it was so comprehensive in blending of the worlds of financial counseling or counseling and financial education. The program is rigorous. The program is expensive, so it's a bit of an investment of time and of money. And in order to achieve the mark, again, you have to have 1,000 experience hours, and you have to pass a 165 question exam, proctored exam, that is 3 hours long, very intense. And it has been one of the hardest things that I've done in a very long time. Like I said, the first time I took the exam, I failed it by 2 points. The second time I took the exam, I passed it by 10 points. And the time in between taking the exam the first time and taking the exam the second time was filled with so much stress and anxiety around making sure that I'm able to get the information that I need and recognize the information that I need on the exam, because there are some questions that may throw you if you don't know what you're looking for. There are some situations and scenarios that are articulated within the exam that might be complicated to kind of decode if you don't know what you're looking for. And just being in the environment of a proctored exam can induce levels of anxiety and stress that you would maybe not otherwise experience if you weren't in that environment. So extremely important to identify the marks that people carry and what's involved in those marks. The CFP has been mentioned as kind of like the gold standard of credibility in financial designations, but the AFC has also been compared to the CFP as being, if not equal, certainly a complementary designation, in that CFPs tend to focus on high net worth, high income clients, whereas AFCs tend to focus on middle to low income clients who need some rebalancing of their finances or their understanding and education on finances. So I'm super excited to carry the designation. I'm super excited to do the work, as I've shared in the past, but I don't want this to be so much focused on this particular designation or choosing which designation is better than the other, but more so on understanding what's involved in accomplishing some of these designations and what is the responsibility to you, the client, when it comes to carrying these designations, whatever they may be. So always do your due diligence when you're working with a financial professional. Ask them what their background is, ask them what designations they carry, ask them where you can check their status of their designations, and they should be more than happy to provide that information to you. If they get offended or, kind of are taken aback by some of those questions, that could be a red flag, because most of the people who are practicing, I will say most because I haven't spoken to all, but based off of some of the industry connections and network that I have, most of the people who are practicing who carry a designation have to maintain a good standing in order to maintain that designation, and are more than happy to share their good standing with any interested party. So as you are getting your finances in order and you're wanting to work with individuals, coaches, counselors, financial therapists, financial planners, CPAs, EAs, the list goes on and on, understand what is your focus area and how is this professional going to help you in the accomplishment of that focus area. So if it's taxes, you're going to look at an enrolled agent, or you're going to look at a CPA. If it is investments or estate planning, you might look at a CFP who can kind of talk you through the life events that you might experience: marriage, divorce, death, retirement, where you're at right now. Are you on target to accomplish your goals? They can cover all those things. If you are in an experience where you're navigating debt, or you need help establishing a budget or understanding budgeting, or you need some very foundational basic information on investing, or the benefits package that you get at work, or retirement savings, and you can work with an accredited financial counselor who also may be a financial coach. If you're wanting to address behavior, beliefs, stress, anxiety, or mental health issues related to money, maybe you want to see a financial therapist. Or a financial social worker. There's so many different financial professionals. It would be extremely difficult for me to name all of them in this one segment, but it's important to understand what is their area of specialization and focus, and can they help you in accomplishing your immediate goals and potentially your long-term goals. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys check out the FINRA website, FINRA, to verify the status of the credentials that you may see some of the financial professionals you work with as having. And super excited to be part of the AFCPE family and to carry the AFC designation. Until next time, This is the season finale, a season closer. So the next time I see you guys will be in a brand new season, in a brand new time. This has been an absolute pleasure. I'm Rakim Sabri, final episode of Financially Irresponsible Season 2, and we're out of here.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.
I'm your host, Kurt Barwis. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Andrew Lim.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name is Chuck Wooden.
Decision for ourselves for this week, if we want to be made well.
Hi, welcome to the crack of dawn. It's Dawn Lombardi. I'm starting the painting. It's going to be the clips with some water. Love it.
He took me on the sets of Lost in Space, Batman.
Everybody has a story. What's yours? Until next time.